Let's talk about Tua Tagovailoa, because this, to me, is an extremely important discussion. The latest McShay draft ratings have been released, and Tua Tagovailoa fell, and that shouldn't surprise anyone. McShay, who had him ranked second before the injury, now has him ranked 13th. Third overall in quarterbacks behind Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, but 13th overall in total. How much does that mean in actual money? Look at these numbers. At the total guaranteed money plus the signing bonus within the contracts of these rookie quarterbacks, Kyler Murray's total was more than twice that of Dwayne Haskins and more than 8 times that of Drew Lock, who was selected 10 picks into the second round. So that sets up the question. The notion that someone should go back to school in this era where all we complain about is how athletes in college don't get paid and they have the opportunity to go pro may sound counterintuitive. But Acho, you and I have been talking about this. You could make a very strong argument, and I'll let you do it, that Tua Tagovailoa's smartest move next would be to go back to Alabama next year.
It pains me to say this. I think Tua has to go back to school. And it's because, monetarily speaking, what does Tua have to lose by going back to school? If he gets hurt again, he already has the injury notion that he is very injury prone. But if he goes back and he plays clean, you're talking about $15+ million guaranteed. Here's the difference. If you're a second-round pick, you don't have that guaranteed money. If you're a first-round pick, you do have that guaranteed money. I am not for college athletes going back typically, but in this case, Tua has more to gain by going back, in fact, than he does to lose.
Maria, jump in here. What do you think?
No, I think Tua absolutely needs to take the first flight over to the NFL Combine or going to the pros, because at the end of the day, you're betting on yourself either way. If you bet on yourself by staying at Alabama and you're trying to prove that you deserve to be a first-rounder, or you're betting on yourself by going straight to the NFL and rehabbing there, getting the work in there, and maybe the second deal, and maybe, Schefter, you can help me out with this, but if you're a quarterback, isn't there still money to be made on the next deal that you'd be working
I think that's the case, Maria, for any player on their second contract if they prove to be a star. And I am of the mind that every player should take the money as soon as they can, always. I've always subscribed to that. I've always believed that. I think when these stars sit out the college bowl games, I think that's the right move, to be perfectly frank. Now, the other night, Steve Young, we were getting ready for Monday Night Football, said he thinks the smart play for Tua would be for him to go back to school, stay healthy, play the year, and work himself back up to the number 1 pick. And I hadn't thought about it like that, and I still don't agree with it. But at least this is the one time where I can see, I understand what you're saying. I understand what Steve's saying. I understand it. It's hard for me to accept it. I don't believe it still, but that school of thought does exist.
Let me get RJ in here, because he had some thoughts.
I understand the point that everyone is trying to make about what he can gain from going back to school. But do you believe that he should go back to school? We're not talking about what he could gain and the difference between the first and the 15th pick. Do you believe that he should go back to school?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, you're just doing it to poke with me. But I think that this is why. Yes, he has the insurance. Yes, he has all this stuff. But ultimately, if he goes back there, even if he bets on himself, he's going back to bet on himself in a losing situation, right? Yes, he might move up a spot, but he also might move down a spot. There's nothing to say with those injuries. And so the last thing that I'll say about this is, if he goes, he can now rehab full time, 100% of the time, have an NFL team that is there to help him strengthen and get better.
Can I just say, RJ, too, we've already seen this happen. Nick Bosa did it last year. He tore his groin. That wasn't an easy injury to come back from. He had to have a surgery, and he just left the team in the middle of the season, immediately went to rehab.
But he still went second. If Tua was going to go second, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
My biggest point is this. I've talked to my draft scout friend, Matt Miller, and he said Tua right now is probably falling 15 to 22 spots, RJ. Yeah. 15 to 22 spots. You're talking $13+ million.
We just showed you.
Yes, you have to go back and at least chance it.
Let me get to you, Wood, in here.
I think the one key thing that I got out of what you said was, going back to school, you talked about injury, and that's the factor that you're not factoring in here. You go back. Tua's already accumulated a bunch of injuries.
Yeah, correct.
So now you want to chance it, go back and play another year, and it could possibly sustain more injury.
And Woody, by the way, he tore his hip up against Mississippi State.
True.
Yeah. You're going to see Auburn, Florida. You know what I mean?
Yes,
you're going to see a tough defensive line every single week.
But I also think that, remember, Tua got hurt when coming back from an injury. If Tua takes 6 to 8 months, gets actually healthy.
But wait. The last thing about this, he can do that and not go to class. Think about that. If you can rehab, wake up in the morning and go to bed at night and just focus on your rehabbing as a football player, that to me is more important.
Your argument is very basic. You're saying he's better off taking the $15 million in the middle of round one, if that's what it is, than taking nothing by going back to school in Alabama. Right. Maybe he gets up to the #1 pick and gets $50 million. But you're taking the safe approach.
The safest move
is to go to
the pros.
Correct. Right.
Betting on yourself is going back to school.
No.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.